Greetings brothers and sisters, Bartek here, with yet again something different. Before we start, full disclosure. Ever since the premiere of the announcement trailer for a completely new IP from 11-bit Studios during the PC Gaming Show 2022, I've been captivated and charmed by the idea the developer is aiming to get across in their game, The Alters. I've already made a short video on what we know about the title basing broadly on the trailer itself, the description on Steam, and the interview given to PC Gamer magazine by the project's lead artist Tomasz Kisilewicz. In a nutshell, The Alters tells the story of a simple manual worker Jan Dolski who's crash-landed on an alien planet. Stranded and all alone, he's traversing this foreboding world in his mobile base and is looking for a way to survive and get back home. To do this, his only option is to create alternate versions of himself. Each one has a different personality and set of skills that can be used to achieve the goal of the game. Today I want to go a bit deeper and dissect the trailer in the context of what was said between the lines of 11-bit Studios investor conference, my own thoughts after compulsively watching the trailer one too many times, and the still image shown at the end of the trailer. The links to the A. full announcement trailer of the game, B. 11-bit Studios investors conference, and C. my previous vid on The Alters will be available in the description, along with some other useful resources, but more on that later. As always, remember to like, comment, and subscribe if what you're seeing here tickles your fancy. Alright, disclaimer. What you're about to see is a breakdown of the trailer and its end screen, some theory crafting regarding the possible genre of The Alters, its story, and perhaps an Easter egg or two. All of it is pure fan speculation, conjecture, and guesswork. Feel free to tell me I'm wrong in the comments section. I'll gladly find out your point of view. Let's start from the beginning. The opening sequence of the video shows us a man waking up. From the materials already made available to us from the developer, we know that his name is Jan Dolski. And first pause here. His initials, JD, are curiously close to the abbreviation employed to denote John Doe, a placeholder name that's used when the true name of a person is unknown or is being intentionally concealed. It's often seen in the context of corpses when the coroner doesn't know who the dead body belongs to. We'll come back to that in a bit. In the background you can see what is definitely a poster for South of the Circle, a game being published by 11-bit Studios. Back to Jan. He's wearing a patient's gown, has a wobbly stride, and seems a bit lost and confused. This would imply that he was summoned, called in from another reality, biomolecularly crafted, we don't know. We do get the impression, however, that he isn't from around here. He gets up and manages to open the biometric lock to his, but not to our surprise, and starts walking down a messy and dim hallway. It leads him towards a well-lit room with music coming out of it. This is a track from 1985 by the Polish band Kombi. Its title is Black and White, and if you want to know what they're singing about, I have a link to the English version of the lyrics and to an unofficial music video in the description. Go ahead and check it out because it adds a ton of flavor to the setting. As Jan steps into the room, he seems to not notice the people in it. Instead, he comes up to what is a very dead astronaut in a battered spacesuit with the words Project Dahlia written on it. We'll come back to this detail later on. To his horror, he understands that the corpse belonged to, well, someone who looks just like him. Realizing this, Jan turns in horror to the other men only to find out that they also look like him but slightly different, at least in appearance. Some of them have numbers on their uniforms, a detail that is, at least in my opinion, quite significant. The revelation causes the hero to get dizzy and fall to the floor. A helping hand appears, and as the camera zooms out, we learn that this is another alternate version of him dressed in a suit with the number 01 on it. Fun fact, number 01 is the only one who seems to have the exact same face blemishes as the newcomer. Coincidence? I think not. Okay, time for another pause. Let's think about the dead Jan lying in the spacesuit. Is he the OG Jan who crash-landed and started summoning or creating his alters, or was the guy in the number 01 suit the first, meaning the OG one, and the dead one is a newer alter who died performing some task, and that's the reason that the hero of the trailer was summoned/created to fill in his boots. This remains to be seen when we find out more about the game. As the camera zooms out further, we can see that this scene is taking place in a canteen or recreation room that has lately been heavily used, presumably by the gentleman in the video. Why is the dead body not in the medbay but instead is lying among empty bottles, cups, a pool table and such? Perhaps this has turned into a sort of tradition among the alters that the passing of one of them, or the let's say, rebirth or arrival of a new one calls for a wake and or welcoming celebration with drinks and games. The fact that the other Yans don't seem to be particularly perturbed by the corpse might suggest that this happens quite a lot. The camera then continues zooming out, and it turns out that the rec room is inside one of many containers suspended in a ring that seems to be rolling towards an active volcano. Are the containers linked together, or are the altars confined to a particular one? Is each container a parallel universe of sorts where each one of them originally comes from, or is this a hint as to what the players can expect gameplay-wise? Is it going to play kinda like Fallout Shelter or This War of Mine, meaning that the action will be seen from the side in a 2D plane? God, I hope not. I really hope 11-bit Studios evolves and gives us something more, well, complicated. Also, the fact that the base is moving towards a volcano might suggest that the player has a limited time to complete the main quest, so maybe a roguelike or a roguelite, perhaps with mechanics similar to the game 12 Minutes, where each playthrough gets you a hint as to how to progress further during your next run. Once more, as hyped as I am for this game, I wholeheartedly hope not. The trailer then cuts to a still screen made of 2 parts. The first one lets us clearly peek into the background and hunt for some clues and Easter eggs. Let's take a look. The first thing I noticed were posters, mostly from games made or published or waiting to be published by 11-bit Studios. We have Frostpunk 2, South of the Circle, an X-Files I Wanna Believe poster, then there's This War of Mine and Anomaly 2. I don't, however, recognize the people in the photos. If you do, let me know in the comments. There's also a This War of Mine board game and a book titled Be Your Best. Next to it is an item that looks like a D&D die, suggesting the element of chance and randomness in the game. All of this is lying on a container with a sign, property of Ally Corporation. A friend, companion, someone close. Could this perhaps imply that the base is the property of a company which is conducting a alternate universe social experiment? Sort of like a really scientifically advanced and twisted version of Big Brother? Finally, we have Jan number 01 sitting in the center with what looks like a dead version of Jan to the left, with his broken helmet that we saw in the animation on the right. Subsequently, we see another layer of the picture. This time, there are 8 Jans in total. What's worth mentioning is that in the animation there were only 7 of them. Well, 8 if you count the dead one. Here, the numbers on their uniforms are much more visible and I believe denote the order in which they appeared in the base. The one to the left, presumably the same one from the animation as he is in the patient's gown, is refusing to eat pierogi from his mate that's trying to feed him, probably for him to regain his strength. This leads me to believe that the gown-wearing Jan is insane. After all, who doesn't like pierogi, a traditional Polish specialty with meat, fruit, or vegetable filling? If you haven't tried them, I suggest you do. And if you don't like them, seek professional help. I'm joking, of course, to each their own. Also, the abundance of Jans and the situations they're shown in the picture clearly depicts that they all have very different characters. One more detail. Remember what was written on the spacesuit? Well, some of the Jans also have lanyards with the words Project Dolly on them. A wee bit of history here. A sheep named, you guessed it, Dolly, was the first ever mammal successfully cloned from adult somatic cells. This was in 1996 in the Roslin Institute in Scotland. She spent her entire life there and produced several healthy lambs. She was euthanized at the age of 6 due to a progressive lung disease that was not linked to the fact that she was cloned. So, the appearance of a sheep in the picture and the fact that the words Project Dolly pop up here and there might suggest that despite the devs making it abundantly clear that we are dealing with alternate versions of Jan and not his clones, might just be, well, pulling wool over our eyes. Get it? Sheep? Wool? Conversely, the sheep might just be a MacGuffin put in to throw us off. But the words Project Dolly everywhere? I don't know, guys. I just don't know. There seem to be many more questions than answers at this stage, but as I said before, it's just a potential fan's speculation and guesswork. So guys, did you notice anything that I missed? Are you excited for the game and more info on it prior to launch? Do you want me to cover it? Let me know below. And as always, like if you liked, sub if you liked a lot. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you next time. Bartek out.